Corporal James Alton Faulkingham. James Alton Faulkingham was born on November 11, 1920, to Stuart and Louise Faulkingham of Bangor, both immigrants from Canada. James was their second child, and they named him after Stuart's father. The Faulkingham family had 5 children: Louise, James, Ella, Pearl, and Leo. James grew up living at 310 Grove Street in Bangor. He attended Abraham Lincoln Grammar School, graduating in 1935, and continued on to Bangor High School, graduating in 1939. James started his military career on December 17, 1941, when he joined the United States Marine Corps and did his installation training in Parris Island, South Carolina, as part of the 6th Recruit Battalion. He was then transferred to New River, North Carolina to continue his training as a ground unit crewman. After completing his secondary training by the fall of 1942, James had been transferred to his first station in San Francisco, California. He joined Company C, 1st Amphibian Tractor Battalion, 1st Marine Division, Fleet Marine Force. In 1943, James was promoted to corporal. This promotion brought more authority, responsibility, and the title of crew chief. By January 1944, James had been deployed into the Pacific Theater to battle the Empire of Japan. The 1st Marine Division, which included Corporal Faulkingham's battalion, was commissioned to fight in the Battle of Peleliu, which was part of the Mariana and Palau Islands campaign, also known as Operation Forager. It was an offensive plan launched by the United States forces against the Imperial Japanese forces in the Mariana Islands and the island of Peleliu, which is part of the present-day Palau Island Group, in the Pacific Ocean from June to November of 1944 in the Pacific theater of World War II. Corporal Faulkingham fought in the Battle of Peleliu, codenamed Operation Stalemate II, spanning from September to November 1944 on the island of Peleliu, in order to secure the flank for the United States forces preparing to attack Japanese forces in the Philippines. It was initially predicted that the island could be secured within 4 days, but due to Japanese well-crafted fortifications and stiff resistance, the battle lasted over 2 months. The U.S. forces were fighting to capture the airstrip on the small coral island. It was during the Battle of Peleliu that Corporal James Faulkingham was killed in action on September 17, 1944. Taken under fire by a superior number of Japanese snipers while engaging in carrying supplies to the front lines through heavily mined terrain, Corporal Faulkingham fought valiantly in the face of tremendous odds. Upon observing the approach of a hostile tank firing savagely on our infantrymen, he unhesitatingly charged the weapon, disabling it with a .50 caliber machine gun, shooting the turret gunner with a carbine, and completing the destruction by hurling a hand grenade directly into the enemy tank. Although injured during this encounter, Corporal Faulkingham continued his mission of moving urgently needed supplies through the mined areas partially controlled by the Japanese until September 17th, when he sustained severe wounds during the explosion of his tank by a hostile mine. For his bravery, determination, courage, and ultimate sacrifice, he was awarded the Navy Cross and the Purple Heart posthumously. On Tuesday, February 5, 1946, at a meeting of the Norman N. Dow Post 1761 Veterans of Foreign Wars and its auxiliary at the Post Hall on Center Street, Major Carroll B. Grace presented James's mom, Louise, with his medal, the Navy Cross. On display are Corporal Faulkingham's medals and his certificate from the state of Maine for his time of service. The Navy Cross is the second highest military decoration for valor that may be awarded to a member of the United States Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard for extraordinary heroism in combat. Only 1,034 Navy Crosses were awarded to Marines during World War II. The Purple Heart is awarded in the name of the President to those wounded or killed while serving. Corporal Faulkingham also received other medals and awards for his time of military service and participation in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He was awarded the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, a military award for the Second World War. It was awarded to any member of the United States military who served in the Pacific Theater from 1941 to 1945. His unit received 3 Presidential Unit citations for participation in the battles of Guadalcanal, Palayu, and Okinawa. The award was originally called the Distinguished Unit Citation and is awarded to units of the United States Armed Forces for extraordinary heroism in action against an armed enemy. The first award is represented by the ribbon, and the second and third awards are represented by the 2 stars on the ribbon. The World War II Victory Medal, a service medal of the United States military, was awarded to any member of the United States military who served on active duty or as a reservist between December 7, 1941 and December 31, 1946. Also on display are 2 Marine insignia pins that he wore on the collar of his uniform. He also had a USO pin. The USO's first mission was supporting American troops. USO Camp Shows Incorporated was established to provide entertainment to troops around the world. The military members in attendance to the USO-hosted events were given a USO pin. There is a Returned Sailors and Soldiers Imperial League of Australia pin and the Australian Rising Sun badge on display, but it is unclear how Corporal Faulkingham came to have them. The Returned Sailors and Soldiers Imperial League of Australia evolved out of concern for the welfare of the returned servicemen from the war. Today it is called the Returned and Services League of Australia, to reflect the organization's concern for current as well as former servicemen and servicewomen. The Rising Sun badge, also known as the General Service Badge or the Australian Army Badge, is the official insignia of the Australian Army and is worn on the brim of a slouch hat. On display next to James's medals are his mom's service flag pins and her American Legion Auxiliary Past President pin. When James went off to war, his mom, Louise, wore a service flag pin with 1 blue star. On July 7, 1943, James's younger brother, Leo, at just 17, joined the United States Navy. Leo was deployed with the U.S. Navy's 68th Seabees Construction Battalion to an island in the Aleutian Islands. Louise replaced her service flag pin with 1 star with a new service flag pin with 2 stars to represent both of her sons fighting in the war. Leo returned home safely and resigned from the U.S. Navy on May 2, 1946. James's family donated all the items on display in 1996, and in 2014, family members donated a photo of James. James is not only honored through his medals on display in the Coal Transportation Museum, his name is also engraved on the World War II memorial of the 110 Bangor citizens that died in World War II, the World War II Memorial and the Purple Heart Memorial, all located outside of the museum. Corporal Faulkingham also has a page dedicated to him in the Bangor Public Library's Book of Honor.